unity in the new state of consciousness does not mean that we will be able to bring in our higher self fully, which I think there's been some confusion about that. Like, does it mean that we really, like, our higher self, we're going to have this umbilical connection with them, or that they're literally, that we're going to be able to embody our higher self while living? And they're saying that's not exactly what's going to happen, that what we're going to be achieving is a state of consciousness, which is we've never done before, which is where we have, it's like a window or a portal that's open to our higher self all the time. So our higher self is participating, but they talk about why it's impossible for our higher self to embody in us fully. But how this window operates and the kind of amazing freedoms it's going to bring for us. So it's a very cool, an extremely uplifting message about what this relationship is going to be like and how it's going to manifest through us as we stay. And they say, yes, we'll still be us, same personality, we'll have will, we'll have desire, we'll have all those things. We will still be human, but we're going to have this incredible connection, but not an embodiment. We're not, so that's the clarity that comes in with this message. But again, telling us about what it will be like, how it will serve us, and then also how it will evolve over time. So this is a gorgeous, inspiring message, and I know you guys are going to love it. So thank you so much for being here. Welcome back. And those of you who are new, welcome. My name is Ann Tucker. I am a trance channel. I channel from the angelic realm, and I do that by going into a deep meditative state or trance. And from that state, I raise my awareness as high as I can go, and then I stretch a little higher and I connect at the angelic realm, and then messages, information, and healing come through, and I share it here with you guys on YouTube. So my format is to share the original channeling, which I did Thursday night. So we will share that next. And then after that, I will break it down break the whole message apart and talk it through, because by doing that, we tend to get a lot more out of it. So before I share it, I wanted to just respond to a couple of the most common questions we've been getting about my upcoming retreat, which I call the Expand Your Heart Retreat, which you guys know is coming in October. It's going to be here in Seattle. It's the weekend of, I think, October 23rd. It's that weekend. And I know many of you are coming, which I'm super excited to see you. And those of you who have been thinking about it, I know many of you are wondering, is it okay to come alone? And I really wanted to answer that because you guys know community is a big deal to me, that having people to share your journey with is so insanely helpful. And so I want to let you know that many, if not most, people come to the retreat alone. That there are some people who come with a friend or with a partner, and we do have a good number of men that come. Some are husbands and some are partners, and some come on their own. So we have typically over 25% men typically. So the guys feel right at home, and we make sure they feel welcome too. And but yeah, most people come on their own, but I will tell you, they do not leave alone. They leave with friends. So what's amazing is that people in this community, as they come together, are so incredibly open and welcoming. And so you will have people, in the way it's structured, you will have people to chat with. You will have people to sit at lunch with. Like that, it's very open, that everybody wants to meet you. And so that's the idea, that it is, if you are open to it, even, it's really cool, especially as the vibe goes up and up and up over the course of the weekend, even the people who are the most shy, the people who are sitting by themselves, like, you know, like this, like looking between their fingers at everybody, they by the end are like out of their shell and meeting everybody. And so come, if that is your worry, join us. And then the other question we get second, like the most, is, do people come from far away? And the answer is yes, absolutely. That we have people coming from Europe. We have people coming. As a matter of fact, we have one person coming from all the way from Australia. She's 70 years old, and she's coming from all the way from Australia. So yes, so it absolutely, that people are coming from far away. That's part of the reason we keep the logistics simple. That the venue is, even though we're on like a gorgeous 18-acre wetland preserve, so we have that lovely connection to nature, it is miraculously so close to the airport that there is a free shuttle from the airport. So you don't have to worry about, when I land, how will I get there? There will be a free shuttle that takes you directly from the airport to the resort. So anyways, so really important questions to answer. And so if that is you, hopefully that helps to resolve any kind of worry that you might have had. So you feel free to come and join us and have an amazing time in Seattle at our Expand Your Heart Retreat. And if you are looking for it, it's on my website, anntucker.com, and it's there. You'll see a thing about live events. It's there for you. All right. So if you guys are ready, shall we go into the message? Let's do it.
Beginning in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Blessings. We are within. We are speaking to you now on the concept of your own formation, of what you are waiting for, of how you are spoken into form again. The new times coming where you are only a gentle reminder of what you are to become. The fullness of you, the everything you ever were, cannot be contained in a lifetime. The allness of where you are now has constraints upon it. You live in limitation. There are boundaried existences within which only a portion of you may come into performance. The next instantiation of your soul will be broadened, will be bettered with many of the qualities of your fullest self, and yet it leaves only a hint, a fragment of your fullness, to leave the rest for discovery later. The degree to which you shall be incarnated is significantly more than you have previously ascertained. It is a larger part of yourself that comes into the form where you are. But the allness of you, the ever-present state of you, the expansiveness of you lives beyond regions, beyond space, beyond all temporal structure, and it cannot be contained thus. And so, in the fragmentation that takes place in the beyond nature of soul, in order to incarnate, selectivity remains important. What shall come into form? Who shall you prosper into while embodied? What is your becoming to embolden you for? How shall you manifest the degree of soul into this life? The allness of you has capacities to exist that are far beyond the nature of the human. They are integrated with the allness of all things. The embodied state is one of individuation and separation from soul, from all things. Where you have been, where you are now, is a statement of soul and self that knows itself deeply, but only in the fragmented state. Only one selection of self, one isolated employment of your gifting. In the new reality, in the expansive state that is coming, the broadening of yourself opens new doorways and new potentials. You may rise into a new quality of beingness, not into the fullness of what you are in your wholeness, in the allness of you, but segregated in a new way, in a new method of becoming self. It may be one in which you have tried to achieve, but thus far have not yet. It is the state of beingness wherein the allness of you is encountering the fullness of reality in limitation. Limitations will exist in the new reality as it comes forward. There shall be structure, there shall be heaviness, gravity, longevity, and endings, beginnings. There shall be the quality of permeating or not permeating. Choices to be made. Choices are enabled through limitation. We say that thus, because you will be within this incarnated state, the fullness of your higher state of consciousness cannot fully come into form. However, from that new state of openness, the portal to dialoguing with your higher state of consciousness shall remain open at all times. It shall be as if you contain a window to look through, a portal of entry, and the quagmire of reality disperses. Through that window, continuity provides itself to you. You may find your passageways more clearly. The readiness of reality to conform to you is no longer burdensome. It creates for you a passage of timing most enjoyably felt, a sense of yourself in the employment of crafting an experience you wish to have felt. The statement of who you shall become is one of self and soul apart from all things and yet connected back to all things, as though you have come into the skin, into the vibration of this time and place, into a space of separated, and from that space re-encountered yourself to the fullest degree, so that unity has taken hold within. And from within that unified internal state, you are developing an awareness of your unified existence within the allness of all things. You are not yet, however, in the state of consciousness which bleeds into the reality of oneness. You are somewhere in between. You are in a statement of becoming a soul who has felt alone and no longer shall, who becomes a soul that reaches back and through the portal of which we are speaking, the opened doorway into the connectivity with everything that exists. The navigation of this life shall be changed forever. The sense of your soul as one placement of the light that you carry within this embodiment. Having, however, the resources of your higher state of consciousness, of the allness of all things, right at your doorway. As if the greatest library you can imagine has become incorporated into the cellular structure of the body. As if the knowledge you wish to possess is always there. And this knowledge is not unbiased. It contains within it qualities of observation which provide recommendations. It is as if the entirety of your awareness bends and molds reality into fruition based upon the non-fragmented state of awareness. Thus you are both held as an embodied, separated state and in connected union with all things. It shall be uniquely felt by yourselves and has not happened before for humanity. It is a state within which you can become increasingly aware of one another while also separated. A state from within which your powers to observe through your higher state of consciousness shall be sharpened. Your willingness to merge shall be released and shall be surpassed by your acceptance of another's individuality and your willingness to understand them at a depth not previously understood. You shall have at the ready a depth and a capacity to incorporate all forms of existence as part of who you are becoming, as if your own state of existence becomes one with earth, one with one another, with all the animal kingdom, with all forms of being, and yet you stay in your physical body. Thus, you are not truly in your highest state of existence. You are not the allness of all things. You are still self, with personality, will, and desire. And yet, you feel the connectedness which drives away all sensations of loneliness. You become aware of the journeying that you've done and that others have been through. And through these tales of connection, you weave and reweave a united tapestry of becoming, and humanity shall evolve into a separated and yet unified state of coherence, within which the frequency by which you are making reality shall shift tenfold beyond what is next to become. Thus, the next new beginning is just the next, and the greatness that shall follow is leagues beyond in the making. We say bless you, thank you, and goodbye. So I am in love, especially with the ending of that message. I just find it to be like, oh my gosh, the way that they capture and express this idea to me is just, it's so incredibly uplifting, so incredibly uplifting. And it's the thought that it's like, wow, we keep thinking about this next state of consciousness, like we're going to get there and it's going to be like the lights turn on and like, wow, we've arrived. And they're saying, yeah, it's going to be that good. And the next is just the next. Like beyond that is like tenfold, like it's just going to be this increasing. And I loved how they described that, like really what we are doing here, though, like why is it that we're going to be having this experience of moving, like staying in our physical body, staying separated, right? By being in the physical body, still having limitation, and yet having this incredibly opened connection to every other living being, right? That's really what it is. It's not to the allness of the allness that our higher self experiences, because that only happens outside of the limitations of this reality, is what they're saying. But because we are going to be in this weird in-between state where we are embodied, but where we have this open portal to that awareness, like it's part of us, that we bring that awareness into this realm of limitation so that we can connect to everything and everyone else that's here. And so while we're here, we're kind of working in this field, right? A unity field of connection with everything and everyone who's also here and open to their understandings and their experiences and their journey. And so through this process, as a collective consciousness, we are weaving a tapestry, they say, that like our every story is like a thread. And so imagine that in the past, you only could really understand your own thread. But as we go through this process of connecting, it's like bringing on board the capabilities of our higher self to experience oneness, but bringing it into reality. So what happens when you bring this expanded state into a limitation or limited reality? It kind of spreads across, not to the everything, but spreads across, right? Into all the birds and the bees and the people and the everythings and earth, right? And so we have this way of experiencing and understanding each other as who we are as individuals, and then understanding each of our individual experiences and weaving through that, having really understanding it deeply as if your experience is my experience and my experience is your experience. We feel each other deeply. And because of that, it's like we're living not just one life, but we're living everybody's lives in a cool way that allows us to start to see the whole tapestry. And so then they're saying we start to create reality in a new way because we're creating it from this richer tapestry of everybody. So like like I just love that. Like blew my mind, right? Yeah, you're saying chills. I know, right? So amazing. Awesome, beautiful. The tapestry of us all looking forward to it. Yes, the best living museum ever. It's so cool. Yeah, so cool. Yeah, beautiful message, exciting and wonderful. I feel it too, you guys. I really do. So necessary for humanity. Love it. I know, me too. I'm feeling so much excitement. To Cheryl, almost giddy feeling. I know. And Josh was like, bring it on. And it's so exciting, you guys. So, okay, so let's go through it and break it down, you guys. So here's what they're saying. Okay, first paragraph. Blessings, we are within. We are speaking to you now on the concept of your own formation, of what you are waiting for, of how you are spoken into form again. The new times coming where you are only a gentle reminder of what you are to become. So here it is. They're queuing it up as they always do in the beginning about what the message is going to be, and they're saying so the question they're posing is, what will the new form be? So this new reality that we're stepping into, that we are going to be sort of the new human. What is it? Is it a full integration with our higher self or something else? And they're saying it's something else. They're saying that you are only a gentle reminder of what you are to become. So the new form that we will take is not the whole enchilada. It is just the entree. It is, but it's a big entree. And there's a reason for it, right? And they tell us later in the message, like, why? Why would it be a choice to say, I'm going to have a connection to my higher self, but not full integration with my higher self? Why would that be beneficial? And it's because staying in the separated state while connected is going to bring us a whole new experience of reality. And so that's kind of the gist of the whole thing, I think. All right, so next paragraph. The fullness of you, the everything you ever were, cannot be contained in a lifetime. The allness of where you are now has constraints upon it. If you live in limitation, they're boundaried existences within which only a portion of you may come into performance. So this is where they start getting into the concept that our highest self does not live in limitation, that we do. And that is part of the experience here. And they say it later that being in limitation provides us the opportunity for choice. And it provides us the opportunity for alternate options and for ways of expressing ourselves that wouldn't exist outside of limitation, right? It gives us it's an interesting thing. I will tell you guys, having done a lot of creative endeavors in my life, as you guys know, I have moved like a million times throughout my life. It's like every 2.5 years, I end up moving. And in that process, I have renovated home after home after home. And I'm trying desperately to slow that process down. I'm trying to stay in this house as long as I can because I'm kind of tired of moving at this point. But each time I built a house, it was starting, I was remodeled. I never built from scratch. And I found it to be a much more creative enterprise to start with something and to turn it into something else. That starting with a blank page, for whatever reason, never appealed to me. It was always much more interesting to take something that existed and to turn it into something else and to see it in a new way, to reimagine it in a new way. Always felt somehow more gratifying to me. It called forward my creativity. And I think it's true if you see like a lot of like homes that are built from scratch look the same. They have the same basic, same floor plans or whatever. It's when you go into a house that's been remodeled that you get the quirky stuff. And sometimes the quirky stuff are the best things. So for example, like I have been working on my garden. I just had some grass put in. And I had these weird they were like cement steps that the previous people had left behind. They left a ton of stuff in my garden. They just left all kinds of stuff behind. But I found all these long cement steps. And I was like, what am I going to do with these? They're huge and I didn't need cement steps. So, but I ended up using them as stepping stones and I put them through the grass and I staggered. I will show you guys because it's cool. I think it's really cool. And it created this really modern, interesting design. And so here's a picture of it from my backyard. And as you guys know, I have a big yard. But I don't know if you can see that. I'll try to hold it so you can see see if I can get, so you can see there's grass and there's sort of the fruit trees are there. Can you see if I pull it closer or further, the stepping stones that are staggered, almost like little piano keys going through the garden. And it's a cool feature. I mean, it looks really neat. It looks cooler in person than it does in like a slightly whited out photo that you can barely see. But it looks really amazing. And I would have never thought, you know what I need are big, long cement steps for my garden. It's because they were there. And it was that idea of taking what is and reimagining it in a new way, that it's like this creative interaction with your reality, that I think that is like a huge expression of divine feminine energy, and where we're headed, and what it's almost like, yeah, what is it going to be like in this new dharmic way of being, in this really creative state of masterfully creating our reality into what we want it to be. I think it's going to be a lot of that, but in an energetic way, Anyways, yeah, I'm excited for it. But that's definitely made me think about it, about the constraints. Yeah, about why limitation is good. Limitation, not all limitations, but how it can be of service, I should say. How it can be of service. So there are boundaried existences within which only a portion of you can come into performance. Okay, the next instantiation of your soul will be broadened, will be bettered with many of the qualities of your fullest self, and yet it leaves only a hint, a fragment of your fullness, to leave the rest for discovery later. So this is getting us moving into this idea that the new state is not a full integration with our higher self. It is this new thing that we haven't done before. It's a hint, a fragment of your fullness, right? But still much more than we have now. Next paragraph, they say, the degree to which you shall be incarnated is significantly more than you have previously ascertained. And ascertained is to learn with certainty. So it's like that we've been really certain of. It is a larger part of yourself that comes into the form where you are. But the allness of you, the ever-present state of you, the expansiveness of you lives beyond regions, beyond space, beyond all temporal structure, and it cannot be contained thus. So this is why they're saying it's not actually possible for our fullest expression of ourself, our highest self, to be in this physical form. That it cannot, it's limitless, right? Our higher self is limitless. And so really all it can do, and it says in the next paragraph, and so in the fragmentation that takes place in the beyond nature of soul, in order to incarnate, selectivity remains important. So in other words, that is how our higher self feels or thinks about moving into form. Like, how is it that we as a personality came into the body? We are a fragmented piece of our higher self. Our higher self says, okay, I can't put all of me in there, but I'm going to put pieces of me in there. I'm going to take this little section of my experience, of my knowledge, of my awareness of who I am, and I'm going to take that aspect of me and put it, and that becomes us, right? That's who we are. And so, and it's not to in any way diminish that, because I think it opens us up to experiencing ourselves in ways that we can't when we are in the fullness of who we are. And that's why we do it. We learn to expand those small pieces to become bigger and bigger and bigger, which then expands the whole. So it's like expanding in the small expands the large. So just the fact that we're a fragment doesn't mean we are less important or less significant. It means that we're growing in a different way. So in the fragmentation that takes place in the beyond nature of soul, in order to incarnate, selectivity remains important. What shall come into form? Who shall you prosper into while embodied? What is your becoming to embolden you for? How shall you manifest the degree of soul into this life? So this is really the careful thought process that has to go into when your higher self decides to incarnate, like, what's going to be the life? Like, what's the plan for the life, and what qualities will you need for that plan? What specific attributes, what gifts do you want to bring? We all have different spiritual gifts, and your spiritual gifts will be a super important part of your journey and how it expresses. And it's going to be unique to you as a soul, as the soul on this journey, this specific incarnation of you. Yeah. So going on, next paragraph, the allness of you has capacities to exist that are far beyond the nature of the human. They are integrated with the allness of all things. The embodied state is one of individuation and separation from soul, from all things. So that's really the difference. So that higher self, higher state of consciousness is really in a state of oneness that is very hard for us, I think, it's hard for me anyways, to conceptualize, because it's not a framework. I think the closest I can get is understanding the angels, is that the angels are in that state, and they have the ability to be anywhere, to be anything, to come to anyone, to come in any form, there are so many. Yes, there are individual personalities within and qualities within the angelic essence, but they come into experiencing, like, as we call them in different ways, it's like every single, whatever it is, cell, I guess we'll call it, of essence contains the truth of everything, of all angelic realm. And so that's my best way to understand what our higher self must be, that it is this like a truth point in the full context of what God is. And then God is my word, so please use your own. But it's almost like, it's like a little blip on the DNA of God is our higher self, part of the whole picture, Yeah. So, okay, so in our embodied state is not that, is one of individuation and separation from soul and from all things. Where you have been, where you are now, is a statement of soul and self that knows itself deeply, but only in the fragmented state. Only one selection of self, one isolated employment of your gifting. And so now we're getting into why. Like, why the heck would we do that to ourselves? Why would we separate ourselves like that? It is so that we can know ourselves deeply. And because it sounds that by, my understanding is that by how does our higher self grow? It is by fragmenting itself into small pieces and letting each small piece grow, thereby growing the whole. That is how our higher self expands and continues to expand. So we, as an individuation of our higher self, are an important part of that process. So in the new reality, in the expansive state that is coming, the broadening of yourself opens new doorways and new potentials. You may rise into a new quality of beingness, not into the fullness of what you are in your wholeness, in the allness of you, but segregated in a new way, in a new method of becoming self. So I think they're really trying to get into this idea of helping us to understand that the new state of being is a new method of becoming who we are. And so our whole interaction with reality will change. And I think that is a part that I think brings up the most questions, like, what the heck? Like, what is it going to be? I think it's just like it is hard for, like, where they always joke about like a fish doesn't know what water is because it's always swimming in the water. Like I think it's the same thing, is we can't fully understand the reality that we are until we're no longer in it. And we can say, oh, okay, now I see what the change is because I see what isn't true anymore. And I think that's part of what we are experiencing right now, with many of us are starting to experience glimmers of instant manifestation. And it's sort of leaking out the pores, where you think something and then you turn around and there it is. And that's certainly happening to me in the weirdest things too. Like, I think anything I'm not in resistance to, if I have no resistance to it, and then it just kind of, like, I thought about it, there it is, random things. So I think that is, so like I said, I think we can look at that and say that is different, and we won't really understand what the water is we've been swimming in until it changes, until we're in something new. We understand as humans, we understand by contrast. And if we can't see something, we can't see it because there's no contrast to it. So it's not till we have the new reality that's emerging from inside of us that we will have the contrast to be able to look and say, now I understand, right, what the new method is of becoming self. Next paragraph, they say it may be one which you've tried to achieve, but thus far have not yet. So this new state of being is something we've been stretching for, right? We've wanted it, but they're saying nope, nobody's there yet. We may be getting close, right? We may be touching it right up there against it, but we can't get there until the flash of light comes, which shifts the earth. It is the state of beingness wherein the allness of you is encountering the fullness of reality in limitation. So this I highlighted because I thought, okay, this is in one sentence kind of sums it up. So if we think about it from the perspective of our higher self, how does our higher self get to experience reality? They can't incarnate fully, but what they can do is raise our consciousness up to the point where we have a full and ongoing, a full integration of perception with them, right? Where with our higher self, where we have a complete and integrated awareness with our higher self. So they're not fully here. We are still. It's very important that we are still our embodied self. We are still the individual. We are still the fragment. But that fragmented is connected 100% at the awareness level, right? So it's like an open conversation, an open phone line, right? So like if you've ever had tech support and that tech support person like gets access to your computer, and don't do that, by the way, if it's a scam, because that scammers do that, but in positive, good experiences of tech support where they can take over your computer and you're having a conversation and you're seeing what they're seeing and they're moving things around and you're both participating on the same screen. I think that's kind of what it's going to be like, where your higher self and you are working together, but it's going to feel like it's all you. It's going to feel like it's going to be like I guess I would explain it like in those moments where you've asked yourself a question and it's like the answer is just there. It's almost like you think it's an idea, but it just floats in. The answer is the conversation is just there. And it feels like you just have like you ask a question and the answer just comes in. Yeah, that it's you, but it's not you. So, the allness of you is encountering the fullness of reality in limitation. They go on to say, limitations will exist in the new reality as it comes forward. There shall be structure. There shall be heaviness, gravity, longevity, and endings, beginnings. There shall be the quality of permeating or not permeating. Choices to be made. Choices are enabled through limitation. So this little section says a lot. So we know when they say limitation, that does not mean karma. So we are not experiencing limitation of judgment. So that's different. So we have been in a process where we have been working through our judgments of ourself. But in the new reality, we will still have these limitations, which relate to the heaviness of reality, right? Of the density that we are in, which brings in the experience of gravity, the experience of the limitation of resources, things like that create heaviness, gravity, longevity, endings, beginnings. Like life here is not eternal, that we have endings, things finish, things rise up and they die, energy cycles here. So, and not like where our higher self is from. Our higher self lives to the infinite. So, and so choices to be made. So the fact that there are limitations creates the necessity for choices, because whenever there's a limitation on resources, when it's like, well, if I want to create this, I have to take it from this, that is a choice that has to be made. And so, but understand that it will be possible for us in this new reality to manifest things instantly, but we will be working within the construct of reality. So I think it's going to be a lot like me and my decision about those crazy stone steps. It'll be like, well, I've got this resource. Is it garbage or is it a resource? What am I going to do with it? Do I want to create something with it? And so it's going to be interfacing with our reality in this really unique way, I think, of how do I take what's here, the resources, the abundance of reality around me. And the angels have said before, like, what are we going to be like as reality creators in the future? Because we will have this deep sixth sense of attunement to one another and to the earth, we will feel what the earth needs. We will feel what the people around us need. And we will also feel how are we best suited to meet that need? What is unique about us? What can we create that would best fulfill that need? And then the journey will be trying to create it. And that was how we will the obstacles will show up there. It'll be, oh, I'm going to try it this way and see if it works. And if it doesn't, I got to try something else and experiment and learn through our own experience. experience of trying to become masterful creators. So that is going to be the new journey in the new reality, which I think is so incredibly exciting and so much better than karma. Like, yay, you know what I mean? Like, so much better. So yeah. Okay, choices are enabled through limitation. All right. And then next paragraph, we say that thus, because you will be within this incarnated state, the fullness of your higher state of consciousness cannot fully come into form. However, from that new state of openness, the portal to dialoguing with your higher state of consciousness shall remain open at all times. Again, pink highlighter all over that one. Big pink highlighter. Because wow, like imagine like a portal to your higher self, to that higher state of consciousness open at all times. And they describe more about what this is going to feel like, what it's going to be like. And I can relate, like I've had these, but it's not all the time. It's not all the time, but often it will happen now that I will pose a question and I get the answer right away. And it's a little confusing these days if I'm interviewing someone and I ask a question, because then I'm always curious. And here's an interesting, fun thing is, so sometimes when that's because like in our Wisdom Soup program, I will interview other people and I'll ask a question and then in comes an answer. But what I love is then to let my answer just sit there and then to hear the other person's answer, because they often bring something, another aspect or another truth, which is also true, which is amazing, you know? So I think that is the beauty. And to me, this is like, why is it that we need to be individuated? Why is it that it's important? Why is it like, why would we not just come into this in oneness and have all one consciousness experiencing reality and manifesting by itself? Why do we have to be individuated? And I think that's it, is that my answer is going to be different from your answer, and they both can be true. For example, I may have had my idea about what to do with those stone steps, but you might have come up with something totally different and awesome and creative and unique that would have been also amazing, right? So there's space in this world, and the world is better and richer and bigger because we have many different aspects, many different perspectives, each bringing our own history into reality creation. And so I think that is why that's the goal. So we expand our soul, but we also expand humanity. We expand our collective consciousness this way. Yeah. So I think it's really exciting, you guys. I think it's really exciting. So it'll be open at all times. It shall be as if you contain a window to look through, a portal of entry, and the quagmire of reality disperses. So which is that like right now where we are bumbling is the best way I would describe it. Being in reality right now, there is a whole lot of bumbling that goes on. And that is true. It doesn't matter how clever someone is, how good they are at math and probabilities and statistics and big data and all of that. And certainly like you can get some good answers that way, but every CEO and executive I ever worked with joked about that saying that no plan survives contact with reality, because we cannot think our way there, right? That there's reality is random, it is unpredictable, right? It is a quagmire, and so but as we start to connect to our higher self, then that quagmire disperses, the fog of war, right? The confusion. The place is often, the thing that creates a confusion is us being in our own way, in our own resistance, not seeing ideas or not seeing new opportunities because we don't have a framework to think about them, because we're just not there yet. And it's only when that we have this beautiful connection to our higher self that all those opportunities will be presented to us, that we will see things that we previously never could. So yeah, the quagmire will disperse. We'll have a new clarity of vision that we really can't even imagine right now. So exciting. Okay, and a quagmire is a soft, boggy, what did I write there? Area, I think, of land, a boggy area of land that gives way underfoot. So in other words, you can't get your footing on it because it just sinks underneath you and it's squishy. And so that's the quagmire, right? Where you're just like, where am I? I'm lost. I'm confused. I can't get any traction. That disperses. Amazing, amazing. Imagine, that's the thing most people, when people think about wanting to have a connection or have a stronger connection, it's always that. It's always like, I just want to know, like, what should I do? Like, what is going to be the pathway? Like, we get tired of spinning our wheels. And they're saying, yeah, this is what's going to change. But here's the interesting thing. You will now have this amazing connection with your higher self. So you will no longer be spinning your wheels, going through karmic experiences of trying something and failing and trying something and failing. Instead, we will be learning to manifest. But as we said, there are many different solutions to every problem. So that's going to become the fun, right? We will be able to have the access to our higher self who will say, well, okay, here you could do it this way. This is what that might turn out like. And it's never been done before. So try it and see how it will respond. And, or try something else. You can manifest it this way, manifest it that way. It's going to be a very, very different experience of being a creator. Yeah, a lot less frustration and stuff like that. So, okay, next paragraph. Through that window, continuity provides itself to you. So continuity is an uninterrupted connection, union, or succession. So through that window, continuity with your higher self. So it provides itself to you. So you'll have this uninterrupted connection with your higher self. You may find your passageways more clearly. The readiness of reality to conform to you is no longer burdensome. I love that statement. So right now, reality is very ready to conform itself to you. So we are reality creators. That we walk into a room, we are, as the angels have told us many times, we are the frequency of change. We walk into a room and we change it. We are creating our reality from inside of us. But most of the time we are doing it subconsciously, and it's very difficult to control because we cannot always see all of our wounding. So we a lot of times get stuck in patterns that we recreate the same dynamic again and again. And we're like, why can't I just finally get a job I love, a relationship I love, a whatever it is. Like, why can't I succeed at this thing I keep failing at? That is us manifesting a reality that it feels like a burden, that it's challenging because we don't see how we are creating it. And they say now with this new ability, this new connection, the readiness of reality to conform to you is no longer burdensome. Now it becomes a good thing. It becomes a great thing. It creates for you a passage of timing most enjoyably felt, a sense of yourself in the employment of crafting an experience you wish to have felt. So very, very different experience. It becomes really fun. Like that creating, the fact that we can create our own reality, right? No longer a bum out. It becomes super fun. Next paragraph. And I kind of highlighted this whole paragraph as like an important section. The statement of who you shall become is one of self and soul, apart from all things, and yet connected back to all things. As though you have come into the skin, into the vibration of this time and place, into a space of separated, and from that space re-encountered yourself to the fullest degree, so that unity has taken hold within. And from within that unified internal state, you are developing an awareness of your unified existence with the allness of all things. So I feel like this, they're trying to really explain it. So it's like we come into separation, and then from separation, we find our way back to unity inside of ourselves by healing, accepting all aspects of who we are. When we get there, when we are unified internally, we then are able to connect back from the separated state back to the allness of our higher self. So, but we are not, our higher self isn't coming here. We come down, we integrate, we unify, and then we connect back up again, which is crazy because it reminds me of channeling. Like that was the key that kind of clicked things open for me when the angels were first trying to connect with me in the beginning. When they first started coming in, it was like this weird pressure I was feeling as they were trying to pull me up, and I finally realized they wanted me to raise my awareness up really, really high, which with their help, of course. And when I finally realized that, like I went up and boom, and there I was, and all the angels, but nothing was happening. Like literally, there was like they would just sat there and smiled at me, and I was like, how do we get the ball going here? And I could not figure it out until I realized that what I had to do was go up and keep a piece of me down here. I had to be in both places. I had to stretch the bridge. I had to create the bridge basically by going up and maintaining a connection back here. And then with that, it's like, if you think about it, it makes sense. You got to have a portal. You got to have a window, a bridge. That I think is what they're talking about, that we have to come into the body. We have to unify in the body, and that creates the window back to our higher self. So, but the important thing is we got to keep a footing down here. We got to ground it into the reality so that the connection can happen. Isn't that cool? I think it's really cool. Wow, wow, wow. Okay. So, and we are developing an awareness of our unified existence with the allness of all things. Yeah. Okay, next paragraph. You are not yet, however, in the state of consciousness which bleeds into the reality of oneness. So that's that higher self state of like where it's like there's this very blurry boundary between our higher self and God and all that exists, right? Instead, they say you are in this new state of reality, new state of being. We will be somewhere in between. You are somewhere in between. You are in a statement of becoming a soul who has felt alone and no longer shall. I think it's so beautiful. It's just a simple way. What will we be? We will be people who once felt alone and don't any longer. And that's pretty cool. Like that is sort of the state of unity we will achieve. So who becomes a soul that reaches back and through the portal of which we are speaking, the open doorway into the conductivity with everything that exists. So interesting use of word there, conductivity. So conductivity means the degree to which everything flows through you. So, and so the open doorway, the portal that connects back to our higher self is the opened doorway into the conductivity with everything that exists. So this is giving us an idea of what does it mean to have an open connection to our higher self, like while being in the embodied state. It is to become conductive. And this is, I love this, because if we use electricity as a metaphor, just keep going down that route, that when, say for example, a wire is conductive, that the less obstacles there are in the wire, the less interference there is, the more conductive it is, the further the signal can go, right? If there's interference, then the signal gets degraded over time. But in a really lovely, high quality wire, that's clear, that doesn't have any impediments in it, nothing wrong with it, no little bends or wires or anything's going on, that signal can go really, really far. So think about that as us. If we are going to be conductive, if we're conducting the flow, right, with everything that exists, then the way we become clear is the same way that I have understood about how can I be the clearest channel that I can be. It is by healing. It is by getting all of my garbage out of the way, all of my limiting beliefs and all of my struggles. And I was working in the garden the other day and I was doing work that I was like, this is heavy work. I was moving some gravel. I'm like, oh, gravel's heavy. This is heavy work. And I was going into it and I'm like, oh, I got to move this gravel, and I'm like, oh. And then I stopped for a minute. I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, I know logically that the work is not hard. What's hard is my resistance to the work. And this is physical work. So, but like anything's possible, right? What if you can manifest random things, why can't this be easy? Like, can I actually change my experience of a task that really is probably more heavy than I should be doing? I am not a very big person. So, but I thought, okay, I know, God, what I'm going to do is commit, is try to get my resistance out of the way, my fear that this will be too heavy for me, that I will, because wheelbarrows are like, they tip and it's, but I'm like, okay, just let all that go. Just commit as if, and I was careful, like I only filled it, I didn't fill it that full so that I knew I wasn't going to pull my back out or something. But it was like, okay, just the idea of just committing myself, of saying I'm going to take all of my fear out of the picture, that I'm going to hurt myself, my resistance, the thought this is going to be exhausting, all that, throw it out the garbage and commit. And as soon as I did, it was like night and day difference, and it was easy. It was easy. And like I said, I took the precautions. Like, I am still in a physical body. I didn't do more than I could, but my experience of the work changed dramatically. And so that's my resistance getting out of the way, and my ability to conduct my own physical energy improved. Like, I had more energy, more resources available to me because I was no longer in resistance to doing this physical task. So yeah, the open doorway into the connectivity with everything that exists. And this is only possible to have an open doorway after the flash of light, because the flash of light is what helps us to set down all of our karma. And that doesn't mean we don't want to do our healing now, because we've talked about this, but it really is, why have we been on this journey of healing? Why have we been going through this separated state? Why have we been going through karma? It is because we've been trying to differentiate ourselves as a soul, to learn about ourselves. We've each been given a book, which is all the possibilities of who you are as a soul. And we've been exploring that book through karma, through karmic experiences, where we've been projecting ourselves into our reality and bumping into ourselves and understanding who are we when we have these different limitations put on us, and creating ourselves in that reality. And we've been going through that. And when the flash of light comes, we take that book and we set it down. And that's amazing, right? Because it's like, yay, no more karma. But it also means that we don't get to finish reading the book, that we only get to read as much as we have already read. So it is like, take advantage of now, work on yourself now. So because this is a golden opportunity to explore your soul, to explore and the healing that's available in that. Like, the new reality is not so much about healing. It's really about understanding you as a manifestor. It's not about becoming the brighter, shinier soul. This now is that time. So like, embrace it, embrace the work, embrace it. But when the flash of light comes, we set down the book, which means setting down all of our resistance. And then we turn around and open portal, and we are connected to our higher selves. Incredible, right? Incredible. So yes, it's all good. That means like, now is good, and then is good. The future is going to be good, but now is also good, because now is important. So, right. So the doorway to connectivity with everything that exists, and we will be conducting that connection to the all that is, which will be like, it'll be like having, and they describe it here. Now I'm going to let them describe it because they say it in a cooler way. So they go on to say, the navigation of this life shall be changed forever. So key there, the navigation of this life. How we manage our life, how we move through our life, that's what's going to be changed, because we will now have this incredible source of wisdom at our fingertips. So we will navigate life differently. We will no longer be bumping into ourselves, and we won't have the same kind of challenges we've had. The sense of your soul as one placement of the light that you carry within this embodiment, having, however, the resources of your higher state of consciousness, of the allness of all things right at your doorway. As if the greatest library you can imagine has become incorporated into the cellular structure of the body. As if the knowledge you wish to possess is always there. Right? I love that. So to imagine that, it is really crazy to think about, like having like all knowledge. So it is that idea that you ask yourself a question and then there is the answer. But I don't think it's going to be a feeling like you're calling up your higher self and having a conversation as if it's someone external to you. I think it will literally be like it's inside of you. Like you ask a question, then the answer floats in. And I know we've all had this experience, but imagine it like all the time, that it's just the ease with which you navigate your life, which is pretty crazy. Yeah. So all as if all the knowledge you wish to possess is already there. Yeah, so cool. So, and then they say, and this knowledge is not unbiased. It contains within it qualities of observation which provide recommendations. It is as if the entirety of your awareness bends and molds reality into fruition based upon the non-fragmented state of awareness. Right? So this is extremely cool because so this is that idea that we still will each have an individual and unique perspective. And that is really, really important. So it is going to have a partial, like they're partial to you, as in like whatever advice you get from this connection. It's not just neutral. It's going to be specific to you, specific to your circumstances. So your answer might be different from my answer, even though they both may be true. And that creates the experience. That creates separation and growth for everyone, right? So that's the excitement. That's it's going to be all about our expression. The new reality is about learning to really express ourselves. So that's why I think it's so important that there is still this separation within unity. All right, next paragraph. Thus, you are both held as an embodied separated state and in connected union with all things. It shall be uniquely felt by yourselves and has not happened before for humanity. It is a state within which you can become increasingly aware of one another while also separated. So this is, to me, this is the big why. Why would we do this? Why? What's the point of it? Why are we doing it? It is to become increasingly aware of one another. It is so we have the experience of what it is to be our own individual soul, but there is also the reality of the collective consciousness of which we are all a part. And so this is the piece that grows the collective consciousness. It is that becoming increasingly aware of one another, of each other's stories. So how is it that you're having an incredible experience? I'm having an incredible experience. How do we exponentially multiply our own individual experience? It's by absorbing your experience and you absorbing my experience. It's by taking on, imagine how much learning you've done as an individual with all of your various lifetimes, and now how do you rapidly expand that? And it is by tapping into each other's. And so by doing that, our learning, our conceptualization of reality is just going to be expanding infinitely, right? It's like they always say, like compound interest. You know, if you put like 2 cents into a fund when you're like a little baby, and then by the time you retire, it's $1 million. You know, and that's the idea is that we put energy into one life, and then it compounds when we all put our lives together, and through this unified state. And then the consciousness that we share expands exponentially. So like, why is it that growth in terms of the growth of humanity has been happening at this pace and then can suddenly happen at this pace? You know, this huge increase in consciousness. I think it's this. I think it is we go from having our own journey, and then boom, we tap into the journey of everyone. And so compounded growth for the individual and for the collective. Amazing, right? So and then a state from within which your powers to observe through your higher state of consciousness shall be sharpened. Your willingness to merge shall be released and shall be surpassed by your acceptance of another's individuality. So interesting, your willingness to merge. So where we are right now in the collective is that we are constantly trying to meld with one another. We're trying to find conformity. And so we are constantly trying to belong because we're in this state of loneliness and separation. So we're trying very hard to find ways to fit in so that we can belong, and so that we can so we merge our thoughts, we take on belief systems. This is the idea. And we will, as we go through this higher shift of perspective, where we all of a sudden have access to this higher state of awareness, we become hyper aware of other people's experiences. We're no longer locked on our own. And doing that, we release our willingness to merge. We no longer want to conform. Instead, it's going to be surpassed by our acceptance of another person's individuality and our willingness to understand them at a depth not previously understood. So we truly will begin to celebrate our differences, which is amazing, amazing. Next paragraph. You shall have at the ready a depth and a capacity to incorporate all forms of existence as part of who you are becoming, as if your own state of existence becomes one with earth, one with one another, with all the animal kingdom, with all forms of being, and yet you stay in your physical body. Thus, you are not truly in your highest state of existence. You are not the allness of all things. You are still self with personality, will, and desire. So super important, right? That your aspect, the way that you were built, which is to desire certain things, like think about your interests are not going to be the same as everybody else's interests, that you're a unique makeup, and in every lifetime you have had unique aspects to express and to play with, to learn from. And so you will still have that, but you will also have this incredible connection to everyone else and share experiences with everyone else, which is why the individuation is so important. It is that idea that imagine this. Imagine that you have a pile of diamonds, and each one is faceted differently, and they're all brilliant and unique and different. And they shine in different ways. And then we said, okay, let's have unity. Let's crush all the diamonds and put them into a powder, right? And they're no longer so pretty anymore, right? Yes, they're all one, right? You can press them all together into a cake or something like that, but you no longer have the brilliance that you once did. So that's the idea, is that we don't want to become a Borg, as I always say, which is a Star Trek term. Those of you are like, what the heck is she saying? B-O-R-G, Borg. It's like it was like part of the Star Trek series where there was like this alien race that were like all, they lost their individual will and became like one consciousness that controlled everyone. And so, yeah, okay. So, they go on to say, wait, did I read this part already? You have and you shall have at the ready a depth and a capacity to, yeah, I read that part, to incorporate all existences. That part I don't want to gloss over, because how cool is that? That we shall have a oneness with earth, with one another, with the animal kingdom, with all forms of being. So the angels told us before, when someone asked about the animals, like, how will the flash of light affect the animals? We have a whole video on that on the YouTube channel. And the angel said that it will be that it affects them differently from us. That for them it will be an elevation of their intelligence, like their like a mental shift for them, where they become and they will be able to communicate with us telepathically very easily. That we will no longer think about them as pets. That we won't keep them in the same way. Like, you can still have a pet, but it will be through mutual choice and through love, and we won't keep them in cages, because we will be able to talk to them and say, like, please don't poop on my sofa, they will be like, it'll be a very different experience, but they will still be animals. We'll still be able to pet them and love them and that stuff like we do, but it will be a very different experience. They'll be free. And we can let them come and go and explain to them, like, you probably don't want to go out when you're going to get eaten and whatever. So yeah, or hit by a car or whatever it is, and we can tell them. So we can be with them in a different way, which is so amazing. Yeah. So a oneness with all things. So on the earth level. So, and yet you feel the connectedness which drives away all sensation of loneliness. So we won't have the oneness with all the universe, in terms of our highest state of consciousness, but we will no longer feel the sensation of loneliness. You become aware of the journeying that you've done and that others have been through. And through these tales of connection, you weave and reweave a united tapestry of becoming. Wow. And that I love that statement, because it is a fascinating picture of what new reality is really all about and why we're trying to get there. And you see the progression. You see why. Like, this is not random. It is not just simply an accidental thing where we're just randomly being hit by light and it's elevating our consciousness to no purpose. No, there's been a trajectory what we've been on of understanding ourselves in isolation, so that we can come together and have this deeper understanding of one another in separation, but unifying our experiences to weave a whole story of what humanity will become. What is humanity? And it is the compilation of all of our stories that we all then begin to work from, the incorporation of everyone into that tapestry. Humanity shall evolve into a separated and yet unified state of coherence, right? Within which the frequency by which you are making reality shall shift tenfold beyond what is next to become. So that is incredible. So the benefit, why bother? Why do we want to do this? That we will then be creating a reality, a human reality, from that unified, coherent frequency of accepting of everyone, of understanding everybody's experience. And we will then come together as a unified frequency, which is the collective, which then creates a totally different reality. And this passageway, this new way of understanding and exploring ourselves, they say, is going to be, it's going to create a brand new reality right away, but it will evolve as we get better and better, as that tapestry becomes richer and richer and richer. Then our reality becomes better and better and better. So this is not a one-time deal. It's not we shift and then reality changes. It is just, they're saying here, shall shift tenfold beyond what is next to become. Amazing, right? Thus, the next new beginning is just the next. I love that, right? That this is not the end. The next beginning is not the end. It is just the next, right? And the greatness that shall follow is leagues beyond in the making, right? We say bless you, thank you, and goodbye. Wow, right? That one just sent me over. I was like, that is so inspiring and exciting. And what I love is that it's so achievable. Like, it is not something that is like, airy, fairy. How does it, they're grounding it all in a way and in a language I feel like that we can understand and that makes sense. And that when we get there, it isn't a thing where it will be available to some people and not others. It doesn't require some sort of masterful, like, it's available to everyone. All we have to do is release our resistance, and that's it. It is resistance to ourself, resistance to loving ourselves, resistance to all parts of ourselves. And we will get help with that with the flash of light. So amazing. Thank you so much for being part of this message, for sharing this message together. I so appreciate your engagement and your willingness, your energy that you bring to this, because I will tell you that as I'm going through the message, I prepare before I come to this session together, and then when I go through it with you, I get additional insights. It's like I get more clarity, and that is because of the energy that we are holding as we share this message together. So thank you so much, you guys. All right, I hope you guys have a phenomenal weekend and rest of the week. Sending you tons of love, and I will see you guys next Friday live. Bye-bye, you guys.